Today, China is not just a threat for India only, but poses a danger to all the democratic countries across the world. The CCP, Chinese Communist Party, has established its complete dictatorship over the people of China also. In this video, we are going to discuss about the dirty tactics used by Chinese Communist Party or Chinese government to dominate or control the world. And also, we will discuss why the world must boycott China. First, we will talk about economic tactics of Chinese Communist government. China joined the World Trade Organization or WTO in 2001. Certain conditions were imposed upon China while joining the WTO. According to these conditions, China promised to liberalize and open up its economy further so that trade could be easily conducted between China and the other countries. But today, 20 years later, China has opened up its economy to some extent. But speaking broadly, China has aggressively misused the WTO for its own benefit. You can find made in China products in almost every country across the world. This is the extent to which China exports its products abroad. But as far as imports go, you will only get very less products which are imported to China by other countries. As for example, the largest social media networks in the world, YouTube, Facebook, Google, Amazon, are not allowed within China. China has not allowed them to enter its realm, which is a one-sided trade. On the other side, China allows its Chinese companies to export of made in China products to other countries very easily, but restricts the entry of other countries within their own realm. Instead, China copied these companies and pilfered their technology and created copycat clones of these companies within their country. Today in China, YouTube is replaced by Youku, Amazon by Alibaba, Google by Baidu, and Facebook by Weibo. These are all copycat companies that stole the entire concept and ideas and have created their clones to prevent the other companies' entry in China and to prevent the other countries benefiting from trade. China has indulged in IP theft, intellectual property theft, in almost every sector. No matter which country a new technology is introduced in, clones will be developed in China. Normally, it would not have been possible in a democratic country. For instance, if a company of the UK wishes to clone the product of a US company, then the US company can file a case in the courts in UK. But there's no question of court cases in China. The dictator government there promotes these cloning companies and keeps them protected from these things. In fact, the rules have been twisted in China to ensure benefits to these companies. For example, according to one such rule, if any foreign company wants to set up a business in China, then they will first have to transfer their intellectual property to their Chinese partners. China forces the foreign companies to forfeit or hand over their technology to China. They would have to forfeit it for free if they wish to do business in China. It has been estimated that USA incurs a loss between $300 to $600 billion annually due to this pilferage by China. The second weapon of China is what is called dumping in economics. Dumping refers to the export of a locally made product at such ridiculous low prices so that it would drive the local industries of that country out of business. Due to the release of a particular product at very low price in another country, the Chinese company captures the market of that product in that country, and that Chinese company gains monopoly and control in that industry. For instance, take the example of the toy manufacturers of India, who manufacture toys at a certain cost, but Chinese companies come in and sell these toys at much lower prices. So the consumer should prefer to buy the less expensive Chinese alternatives. And if this continued for a couple of years, if nobody wishes to buy the Indian toys, the Indian toy makers would be driven out of the business, and the Chinese would gain monopoly over the Indian toy industry. You might wonder how Chinese companies are able to manufacture and export goods at such low prices. The Chinese government provides export subsidies to those Chinese companies. They are provided with money and subsidies to export and dump in other countries. USB sticks, calculators, vitamin C and E, nylon cords, measuring tapes, CFL lamps, caustic soda, kitchenware, tableware, solar cells. This is a list of items that China is believed to be dumping in India. Indian government has begun a review of them. A news report of few days ago stated that China has begun dumping of a very important medicine in India, and the Indian government is considering a tax hike on it to stop the dumping of that Chinese medicine in India. India is not alone facing this dumping of China. Investigations are currently ongoing in Australia over how China is dumping steel and aluminium in Australia. In fact, European Union has already increased the import tax on the steel that is coming in from China to the European countries and USA. So, due to the above mentioned reasons and the dumping tactics, China is able to export so much more than what it imports today. China's trade remains in surplus when compared to the most other countries. The local industries of the other countries are destroyed by being driven out of business due to these dirty tactics of China, and it makes the other countries dependent on itself. So, the world should keep its eyes open and remain alert of those things that China is currently dumping in the various countries of the world. The countries of the world must put high taxes on Chinese products, otherwise it will destroy the non-Chinese companies using their dirty tactics. Another tactic of China is currency manipulation. China is accused of deliberately undervaluing its currency in comparison to the US dollar in order to maintain its cost advantage, so that the cost benefit of 30 to 40% is maintained whenever someone wishes to buy a made in China product. The low value of the currency that it maintains would not remain so if viewed in the free market. So this is another accusation that is leveled against China. As a result of these reasons, the unfair trade practices, dumping, pilferage and the currency manipulation done by China. These are the reasons due to which Donald Trump had declared a trade war against China. Donald Trump had hiked the import tariffs to prevent China from harvesting these benefits. Politically, the Chinese Communist Party is trying to exert its influence in the internal affairs of the other countries through nefarious means. A great example of this is Australia. China is trying to manipulate the people in the internal politics of Australia. It has been alleged that China made several thousand WeChat accounts to defame and poke fun at the Australian Prime Minister. And not only this, China is accused of building their spy networks in the Australian universities. According to a news report of last year, a Chinese student was studying in the University of Queensland, Australia. He participated in a protest against the Chinese government that was being held in Australia, and the Chinese government reached his family home in China and pressurized, threatened the family to keep their son under control. This is how the Communist Party of China is threatening the parents of the students studying in Australia. Australian Strategic Policy Institute released a report few days before which revealed how China is employing covert and deceptive methods to infiltrate the foreign political parties and the multinational companies to control the democratic systems all across the world. Not only the European countries, but even the African have not been spared by China. Taking advantage of the poverty of the African countries, China constructs highways, dams, and large infrastructure projects at the expense of crores that is loaned out to African countries, and China is well aware that these African countries would not be able to repay it back, and when these countries are unable to repay their loans, China buys strategic locations in these countries. It assimilates them by physically occupying them. If there is an important port, China takes over it by sending its military and then puts it to its own use. This is called debt trap of African countries by China. I will make a video in details on debt trap by China. It destroys a country completely by trapping it in debt. There are several examples of this. The biggest and the most important port in Kenya, port of Mombasa, was forfeited to China because Kenya did not have money to repay China. A similar thing is happening with several Asian countries as well. An island in Maldives has been sold off to China completely. Hambantota is a very important strategic port in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka first got China to construct it, and when Sri Lanka was unable to repay China, China took up the entire port of 15,000 acres on lease for 99 years. This port has a very strategic location which is extremely close to India. China can use it for anything, for its military warships, its navy, or even its army. China is questioned on the same premise over its Belt and Road Initiative. It is believed that the route that China wants to construct through so many countries would basically be used to lure countries into debt traps and would then occupy their areas for its military use. Furthermore, there is no free media or opposition in the country due to the dictatorship in China, which could hold the ruling party accountable in the wake of corruption or wrongdoing. This is the reason why when disease like COVID-19 spread outside from their country, nobody knew anything about what they had done or whether all information had been disclosed or not. There is no free media to report that. So, these are the ways in which the Chinese Communist Party is exerting its influence on the rest of the world. India and the world should have to begin thinking on the next level to counter China. The good news is that China is against all: Australia, Europe, USA, and even Africa. So, if all these countries come together and unite against China, then there is some hope. I hope you like this video. Please share it, and if you are interested to become a partner of our YouTube journey, just click the subscribe button below. Also, tap the bell icon so that you will be informed about our upcoming videos. This is for all today. We will meet again in the next video. Stay safe, stay happy.